Well, Slanjivar, everyone, wherever you happen to be. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Slanjivar. Well, again, an amazingly interesting week in the capital markets of the world. On Monday, we saw outflows in the stock market of about $5 billion. And then on Tuesday, we saw $3.5 billion flow back in. And in cryptocurrency, it was pretty much the same sort of thing, a massive outflow and followed by a little less, but still massive inflow into cryptocurrency. Now, what on earth is going on? You might as well, say nobody knows. I mean, that is the truth. Nobody knows what's actually going to happen. Nobody knows what's going on. Thus, it's reflected in the markets. Now, what I found though is that people who are generally pro-Trump tend to report the things on a very positive note. And for those people who are not so pro-Trump, they tend to report the same things, but they kind of miss out certain important details and certain facts and figures to generally support their claims. So I find it's up to me, DeFi Truth, to actually cut through all the BS and actually tell you exactly what's going on, but only to the degree that you really need to know. Because actually, is anybody genuinely interested in the tariffs, in the trade wars? You're still going to get up tomorrow morning, go to work. You're still going to have to, feed the kids, put gas in the car. So all you're really bothered about is the cost of living, and of course, how your portfolio is doing in the future. But don't forget, it's not all about wealth. There's a lot more to life than that. And at the end of the day, how many noughts you have in the bank isn't going to help you or isn't going to matter one iota when you depart this world. Anyway, on that note, it seems that Pulse Zen, although it's a fantastic protocol, it's at the moment the size of a very small congregation in a very large church. Hopefully, that is going to change. We did tell you at the beginning of the year that this is going to be a fantastic year for crypto. Everything is aligning. It couldn't be better, although you may not believe that. Let me show you some facts and figures. We have, for example, this interesting little graph where somebody tweeted, I think it was somebody called Spencer Hackerman, tweeted that the spending for the economy is up to 154 billion. Doom incoming. Now, that was a cherry-picked piece of information because below that is the increase in income that's soaring in the federal revenue 2025 figures in the past 3 years. And this year, the Federal Reserve has inflows more than ever before. So we might be spending more, but we're also getting more money in. Now, that little fact wasn't evident in his tweet. Do you think he's pro-Trump or anti-Trump? Again, let me just show you this. You've got a graph which is doom and gloom, saying, that the S&P 500 is falling, the 30-year treasury rates are falling, everything's falling, but the real confidence factor here is Donald Trump, because he's certainly playing the game that he set out to play. He's not tricking anybody. He's not just introducing new policies. He told you what he was going to do if he was voted into office. And lo and behold, he's doing it. And mainstream media and the federal banks, the central banks, they all get their data points and the narrative from these banks, so that you're only hearing what they want you to hear. Never mind the facts and figures, they're not important. What is important is we know what we're doing, and you need to listen to us, and especially through the conduit of mainstream media. Now, as we go further and further along, we know that little social media like Twitter or X as it's called and everything else, it is opening up information to a lot of people, but it's still very difficult to discern reality from a pushed narrative. That is why DeFi truth is so important, so that we actually understand what's going on. I mean, another tweet that I found, I think, who was this now? Not really sure. What's the guy's name now? Tuple or something. Anyway, you can see here, he's the one who said that the spending is rising. Then we have this. Everybody was or is still looking at the Dixie, and that's spelled wrong, by the way. That's DYX, I believe. And they're all saying, the dollar's falling, the dollar, everybody's retreating, the reserve currency, the dollar, it's not going to be the reserve currency anymore, and everybody hates it. Well, yes and no. I mean, let me try and play something, if I can do this, because it doesn't actually like to play long movies, but I do have something that is of interest. So let me just see if I can show you this. Please listen very carefully.
The US dollar index, often known as the DXY, is frequently used to gauge the dollar's strength. It heavily weights the euro, Swiss franc, and Japanese yen. These currencies make up a significant portion of the index. However, this composition can be misleading. It doesn't accurately reflect the dollar's performance against other major currencies, often known as the DXY's focus on these used to gauge the dollar's strength. A skewed perspective. It heavily weights the euro, Swiss franc, and Japanese yen. These currencies make up a significant portion of the index. However, this composition can be misleading. It doesn't accurately reflect.
Clearly, there's something going wrong. The gremlins have got us. Bear with me, because this is important. It's important enough for me to try 3 times to try and show you what this little movie's all about. Or maybe it's been censored. Don't know. Here we go.
The US dollar index, often known as the DXY, is frequently used to gauge the dollar's strength. It heavily weights the euro, Swiss franc, and Japanese yen. These currencies make up a significant portion of the index. However, this composition can be misleading. It doesn't accurately reflect the dollar's performance against other major currencies. The DXY's focus on these particular currencies creates a skewed perspective. For instance, recent economic troubles in the Eurozone have weakened the euro. This euro weakness can make the dollar seem stronger on the DXY than it actually is. Relying solely on the DXY for assessing dollar strength can be a mistake. Despite what the DXY might suggest, the dollar remains strong globally. This strength is evident in its performance against a broader basket of currencies. The dollar has appreciated against many emerging market currencies. It also holds its own against commodity-linked currencies like the Canadian and Australian dollars. Furthermore, the dollar retains its dominance in international trade and finance. It is the most widely used currency for global transactions. This continued reliance on the dollar underscores its enduring strength and importance. Therefore, focusing on a broader range of indicators reveals a more accurate picture of the dollar's true strength. The Federal Reserve, America's central bank, plays a crucial role in managing the dollar. Recently, the Fed has seen a significant increase in its income. This increase is largely due to higher interest rates on its asset holdings. This income surge provides the Fed with greater flexibility. It has more resources to intervene in markets if necessary. However, the Fed is also aware of the potential downsides of prolonged high interest rates. High rates can slow down economic growth. They can also create difficulties for businesses and consumers. To strike a balance, the Fed is carefully considering its next steps. One tool the Fed has at its disposal is quantitative easing, or QE. QE involves injecting money into the financial system. This can stimulate economic activity, and support asset prices. While the Fed has slowed down its QE program, it hasn't ruled out ramping it up again if needed. Interestingly, the prospect of increased QE has had a notable impact on the cryptocurrency market. Cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, have benefited from the increased liquidity. The potential for further QE has fueled optimism among crypto investors, leading to price surges. This connection highlights the complex interplay between monetary policy and the evolving landscape of digital assets.
Well, very interesting. So let's just talk a little bit about what this is saying. Basically, the DXY, okay, everybody's putting a very important bit of information out about this. Maybe I can show you the actual file. We can. Here is TradingView. Thank you for listing us, TradingView, by the way. You can all go to TradingView and see what the price of Pulse Zen is. Anyway, from the latest chart right now, you can see that the DXY is down. And you might think from all the narratives that are going around that things are looking pretty bleak for the dollar and it may lose its reserve currency status. I think it could be further from the truth. Look, let me explain that the main components of that index are the euro, which is about 57%. I think it's the Swiss franc next, which is about 27%. And then GBP, which is about 12%. Hang on a minute. What's going on there? This is supposed to be a relative index of interest rates, representation. But actually, what it is a representation of sentiment. That's what it is. It is exactly that. If you think for one moment that the dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status, you must be joking. I'll tell you something. Free trade relies on the American Navy. They have a bigger fleet than Russia and China combined. The mighty force of the United States Navy is what guarantees free trade along the world. Nobody is coming in to replace that, let alone the facts and figures. And what we're really seeing is that because of the dominance of the euro in the DXY, you're seeing them having a disproportionate effect on this indices because they work on stability, forward planning, and for the euro is fairly straightforward. It's going to hell. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the United States government and the dollar, etc. But if I was a betting man, we're never going to lose the dollar as a reserve currency, and the dollar can only strengthen in reality from here because the DXY, the Dixie, is not the be all and end all of everything that's happening right now. Take the tariffs, for example. Give me a moment. I'm not going to ramble on too long about this. Give the tariffs at the moment, right? You do realize, okay, it started off with a 10% tariff on China, then another 10%, and then, gosh darn it, they're not listening to us. It's 125%. They're still not listening to us. It's 140%. That got their attention. That got their attention. But here's something you might not have realized. There's a great chunk of electronic goods that don't fall into this little tariff game. They're specifically excluded. So things like smartphones and silicon chips are not included. A lot of consumer electronic goods are not included at the moment. So there is more turmoil to come. We're going to see a lot of volatility, plus or minus 3% on the stock market. But what this really means is, and this is the most important thing, is what's going to happen to the price of crypto. Well, there's three things really, that are going to drive the price of crypto nuts this year. And that is, we're going to see interest rates come down, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Why is that? It's because Donald Trump has engineered such a scheme. You can see it playing out. It's not anything new. It's what he laid out when he came into government. He's doing what he said he's going to do. Okay, he's getting everybody around the negotiating table. The tariffs on electronic goods, specifically from China, have not been touched. Now, that's not, something that you shouldn't know about. I mean, mainstream media hasn't said anything about that, but that's what's happening. And it'll take them another month to negotiate what the actual tariffs are going to be long term. Everything that we have at the moment is short term. It's short term 3D chess by Donald Trump and his team. Don't forget, it's not just Donald Trump. There's an expert team of some pretty smart guys who have engineering this. Listen, what else are they going to do? The country's in debt to the tune of $36 trillion. Interest rates have to come down. If Jerome Powell doesn't do it willingly, he'll be gone. He'll be sacked, and we'll have a new head of the Federal Reserve. Mark my words. And then the other thing that Donald Trump has dictated is that they are going to have quantitative easing big time, starting about the 1st of June, maybe even before. And it's a bigger bazooka than you've ever seen. And it's coming to a bank near you. It means that there is going to be an influx of cheap money. The lending rate is going to be so low, it's basically giving businesses free money. Don't think it's coming into our pocket directly, but it will allow a lot of discretionary spending as things, loans, etc., get cheaper. You'll be able to buy a house, buy a car. I mean, look, the housing market's collapsed because they don't understand what's going on. But in the next few months, certainly by the end of the year, things will be dramatically different. Mark my words. And we are seeing in the United States a crypto regulation that is going to become live. Stable coins have already been thrashed out. Don't agree with that, but there we have it. And then cryptos as securities or not, all of that is going to be definitely defined starting June. They probably won't get it all done, but certainly by the end of the year, we will have a level playing field. We will all understand what's legal and what's not legal. We already know that we are on the right side of that. So everything points to Pulse Zen increasing its congregation and increasing its price and increasing its liquidity. Mark my words. Does anybody else have an alternative view? Well, I take a little dram. I think I can see some questions. Yeah, I've had to change the timing, so there's probably not many people here at all. Yeah, you'll be probably watching this on a replay, the vast majority of you. So welcome to my replay viewers. You are not forgotten. If you put comments in the chat, they will probably eventually be answered. Okay, I want to go on about Pulse Zen, but first, why don't we have a look at what's going on in the universal pulse chain? So if I go here, I might be able to show you pulse chain, pulse chain, pulse chain. Where is it? Here we go. Sadly, the euphoria is not continuing on Pulse Chain. We have Pulse. This is live, down by 5%. Look, it's 40249. This is shocking, and everybody is very upset about this. Pulse X, down nearly 9%. Ink, down nearly 12%. And good old Hex is only up 1%. At least it's up. At least it's up. So what does that mean for Pulse Zen? Well, I think Pulse Zen is probably faring a little bit better. As I say, okay, we're only the size of a small congregation, but the fact of the matter is we're getting there, and we will continue to get there. Let's look at the live chart right now. This is live right now. Ooh, up 37% and a current price of 0.0006406. Are we going to make it to 7 this weekend? Are we going to do that? Are we going to spread the word? We'll see. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that we also have Pulse on Ethereum. That's where we started, and it's kind of been forgotten about, lagging behind, no real interest. But the fact of the matter is, with the Pectra upgrade coming very, very soon, in a few days' time, you will see massive changes to the Ethereum blockchain. And the major change for us will be that gas prices for transactions will come down. They're bundling all the sort of approve spending limit, approve the coin um, swap into one thing. So it all happens instantly. So it should save on the transaction fees from that. There are some little tweaks going on. And so we should see Ethereum prices for transactions getting cheaper. I mean, nowhere near Pulse chain, but they're moving in the right direction. And I think we are going to see a resurgence of the ETH price. And that's going to go hand in hand with a reduction in transaction fees. So all in all, that is very positive for us, for Pulse Zen on the Ethereum network. And of course, Pulse chain can only go up from here. So looking forward to the end of the year, I'm really excited about where we're going to be. It's going to be very exciting indeed. So I just want to finish off with showing you how you can actually add liquidity to Pulse chain for Pulse Zen. And I think somewhere I might have a little video that shows you this. Now, this is done a while ago. Bear with me while I try and find that for you, because it's very interesting how to actually add PDI, not PDI. How did that even come into my mouth? Well, that saga is still ongoing, and it makes me very mad that people are being scammed right, left, and center. I mean, the people joining Pulse Chain now, and they seem absolutely intent on, you know, extracting money. That's their sole purpose in life. And of course, nobody's monitoring Pulse Chain, or there's very few people talking about it. And the infiltrators can just get away with it. The cabal is all for it. The amount of money being extracted is phenomenal. And of course, it's not just new guys, it's old guys that are doing it as well. You have to be very careful who you listen to. You have to be very careful of the protocol that you actually invest in. So, to try and build a congregation, this is what you must do. I will say Slanjivar to all of you. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Conrad Zen. I am a former Bitcoin Foundation member and now evangelist for Pulse Zen and, of course, Pulse Chain. Enjoy.
Hi there. So I am going to show you how to add liquidity on Pulse Chain to the Pulse Zen DAI pair. Pulse Zen has many liquidity pairs. One of the ways to alleviate impermanent loss is to pair a stable coin with Pulse Zen on the liquidity pools. The relationship of ratio trading means that the price of Pulse can go up without necessarily Pulse Zen price going down. Still, some people prefer a stable coin pool with bridged over DAI or USDC. Do this first. Head over to scanpulsechain.com. Click to run. Now type in PZEN to find the contract for Pulse Zen. Now copy it. You can add to MetaMask if you have not already. Now head over to the app PulseX. Click to run. Now click on Liquidity Selection. Select V2. Select Find Other LP Tokens. You will see Pulse Zen is not a selection unless you added it yourself before. Now go to Selection, Manage Tokens. It is here we paste in the contract address for Pulse Zen. Add Pulse Zen, you can ignore the warnings. So we could add liquidity to the Pulse Zen pool, but here we are going to choose DAI. Select DAI, then click on Add Liquidity. Add your amounts you want to generate fees on. Now you have to enable DAI and Pulse Zen by signing the MetaMask or any other wallet you use. Finally, confirm supply. And here is your liquidity pool. Don't forget to add your PLB tokens to your wallet. You will now generate fees as people trade Pulse Zen. With higher volumes, this will offset the mechanism where you do not get your share of added Pulse Zen, but you are generating fees after every transaction. Thank you for watching. Please hit the follow, subscribe or comment button. It really helps Pulse Zen. Until next time, slange var.
So there we have it. Hope to see you joining us as a full-blown member of the congregation. But meanwhile, this is Conrad Zen for Pulse Zen signing off, and I will see you in the next live stream. Hopefully, it'll be a bit earlier next Sunday, probably about 18:30 plus 5 UTC. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic week. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay wealthy, healthy,